How's it going, everybody? I'm the best that is, the best that was, the best that ever will be. There'll be none before me, and there'll be none after me. Therefore, I am the one and only Jake Covey, and welcome to Wrestling Made Simple. We got an action-packed week this week with the news of the week, followed by your SmackDown and Raw reviews, and then a review of SummerSlam 2016, and then your drink of the week, followed by a reading from the Book of Rules, and then finally the Battle Droid of the week. But let's get into the news this week as a top WWE star has been injured and may be sidelined for a while. Apparently Bayley may be sidelined for a while as a house show on Sunday. She took a very bad bump with Asuka and messed up her knee. Apparently it wasn't even that much. Asuka just went to hit the ground, took a bump, and as Bayley was running at her, her knee just gave out. A non-contact injury is one of the hardest injuries in sports. And for those of you who don't remember, Bayley was sidelined in 2021 with an ACL injury that kept her out till basically 2022 SummerSlam. So hopefully this isn't too bad. Again, it's around the same time as her ACL injury came back 2 years ago. So we can only hope and pray that Bayley is now for a significant amount of time. Apparently she said all good on her Twitter and was showing icing her knee. Of course, this might just mean she's fine, but it also may mean she is very injured, but she is being well taken care of. I would like to hear more clarification soon, but until we have more news, the story's got to be sidelined for now. And also, as a former WWE Hall of Famer not watching WWE at all, apparently that is true, as Sergeant Slaughter is refusing to watch WWE TV, feeling his image has been taken advantage of by Lacey Evans and WWE. He has said that he was not called to be a part of the WWE Cobra Clutch storyline, even though that was his finisher. He was not called to be a part of Lacey Evans' vignettes. He was not even called to be a part of Lacey Evans' story. I can understand his anger here, but Lacey Evans is a former Marine. She's actually a former MC. So I understand both sides here. I understand both anger on both sides. And finally, another WWE Hall of Famer has made an apology to a current WWE superstar. For those of you who don't know and don't follow the news, LA Knight was lambasted by Kevin Nash, former Diesel and former WWE champion. He apparently says he's just a ripoff of people like Stone Cold and The Rock, which is hard not to be anymore because those are two most influential people in wrestling. So, kind of hard not to take a little from their styles. I understand why people get angry if people want people to be original, but I mean, Lord knows I'm all original. Best there is, best there was, the best there ever will be. But Kevin Nash apparently was calling LA Knight out, saying he's not original and this isn't good for TV. Kevin Nash then took a few hours apparently and watched SmackDown, watched some of LA Knight's clips and said, hey bro, I didn't know who the hell you were. I didn't know any of your shit, didn't know what the fuck you did, so I apologize. His words. I apologize and I'm sorry. Hey, big on Kevin Nash for admitting his fault and saying like, you know what, I messed up. I didn't know how big this guy was, and I also didn't know that he had been refining his character for so long. LA Knight has gone on interviews and has said that even his family members have pointed out, yeah, you do sound like The Rock. So maybe that's something LA Knight works to in the future, but for right now, I don't see him changing because to me, he's awesome. But that's the news this week. Let's move on to SmackDown. SmackDown kicked off with Bianca Belair addressing her opponent for tonight, Asuka. She then had Charlotte Flair interrupt her and says she thinks Bianca will beat Asuka and that they should set a match for Bianca versus Charlotte at SummerSlam. That would be a good match. We then get Pretty Deadly versus the Brawling Brutes. Pretty Deadly was able to pick up the win, although unfortunately Elton Prince was injured during this match with a separated shoulder. He could be out for 2 weeks or 2 months. I don't know how long it's going to be. Hopefully it's a short-term injury and he could get back on track, as he and his partner have such momentum as Pretty Deadly right now on the main roster. I didn't like him in NXT, but I feel like they've gotten better on the main roster with their gimmick. I think they could be awesome, so Just my opinion, I would like to see them get back as soon as possible. I hope he's good. Rich Holland apparently aggravated the shoulder injury, so I don't know if this is Rich Holland's fault, but that guy has been involved with a lot of people's injuries, from Johnny Gargano, Big E, and now Elton Prince. Those are 3 big names. This guy better start watching out before he gets the Nia Jax critique, you know? We then get Bayley versus Zelina Vega. In a very good match, Bayley was able to pick up the win, but then Shotzi appeared on a Titantron and cut off her hair. Now, I do want to point out that a guy on Twitter who does host a podcast where he believes that WWE is listening. Hey, if WWE is listening to my podcast, I could use a job. Just saying, if you guys want to put me in the creative team, I am not turning that down. Or I'll be a manager. Either one. Hell, I'll even take the minimum pay. I'll take minimum wage. Just saying. Shotzi would cut off her hair, and this guy, JD from New York was his name, JD from NY, would call out her and say that this is bullshit, blah, blah, blah. Why are you having her cut off her hair? And apparently it's actually a salute to her sister, as Shotzi's sister is going through chemotherapy. She has launched a GoFundMe, which you can find on Twitter. You can find it on everything through Shotzi. And if you can, go donate. Cancer is a terrible disease, and hopefully we can find a cure very soon. But for this guy to call out, I understand that he didn't know, but then he doubled down on it, saying, I'm not apologizing for shit. I think it's a terrible decision. It's her personal decision, dude. That's bullshit. And you're lucky you don't end up as Battlejoy of the Week for it. Fuck this guy. This is why I blocked him on Twitter. The second I saw all his posts, I'm like, okay, this guy's just an idiot. And it takes a lot for me to call somebody an idiot, because I know I'm a fucking idiot. We then get Paul Heyman coming out to talk to Jey Uso. Jey Uso would cut a passionate promo that I can't even do justice. Him, Paul Heyman, and Solo Sikoa would have an amazing war of words. And if you're looking for an awesome promo to go watch, I recommend this one. Go take a look at it. This is very, very good. Jay would also super kick Paul Heyman and would try to lay out Solo, but unfortunately it wouldn't lay him out for long. Solo would still be standing at the end of this, and so would Jay. Jay would be holding a steel chair. Very, very cool segment here. Really enjoyed this segment. We then get Santos Escobar versus Butch, AJ Styles, and Grayson Waller. AJ Styles would seem to have this match won, as it would be to decide who would be competing in a number 1 contenders match for Austin Theory's WWE United States Championship. I thought this was a very good match, and Karrion Kross would actually come back and would cost AJ Styles the match, attacking Gallows and attacking Carl Anderson backstage, which allowed Santos Escobar to pick up the win. Santos Escobar is now heading to a match which will be between either LA Knight, Rey Mysterio, Sheamus, and I can't remember who else. There's someone else. I know I'm forgetting them, and it's so easy. I'm going to be pissed about it. Anyway, after this, we get the Street Profits. We're waiting for someone in a limousine, and it turns out it's Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley returns to WWE TV, and it looks like he's forming a stable with the Street Profits. This could be very cool. I would love to see them and Bianca Belair join up with Bobby Lashley and form a new Hurt Business. We then get LA Knight coming out, cutting an LA Knight promo. There's nothing better to say. LA Knight is one of the best promo guys ever. This guy's awesome. When you put him on the mic, he is great. We think it may have been Asuka versus Bianca Belair. Very good match. Unfortunately, you wouldn't have a good ending, as you would have Charlotte Flair basically spear Io Sky. Io Sky gets involved. Io Sky costs Bianca Belair the match. I want to see a Fatal 4-Way at SummerSlam. Fatal 4-Way, Bianca Belair, Io Sky, Charlotte Flair, and Asuka. Tell me that wouldn't be a good match. Tell me. But that was SmackDown this week. Very good SmackDown. Enjoyed almost every segment. It really did suck that you actually had Pretty Deadly get injured. But fortunately, the injury bug is going rampant through WWE. I'll get more of that in my Raw review, which starts right now. Raw kicked off with Cody Rhodes calling out Brock Lesnar in his hometown of Atlanta, Georgia. And the pop for him was massive. Cody Rhodes pointed to his mother who was in the crowd, gave her a hug, went back and heard Brock Lesnar's music. He was waiting for Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar never came out, decided to chase Brock Lesnar backstage. Out comes Brock Lesnar beating the shit out of Cody and announces he accepts Cody's challenge for SummerSlam. So his first match is made official for SummerSlam. This sounds good. We think of Intercontinental Champion Gunther versus Matt Riddle. Good match. Gunther was able to pick up the win over Riddle. It's funny, I remember seeing him like this. I remember that Riddle was in the main event picture and was pitched to beat Roman Reigns for the Universal title for a little while. After the match, Gunther would call out Drew McIntyre and makes you completely believe that this match will happen at SummerSlam of Gunther versus Drew McIntyre. Be a good match. We then get the Judgment Day coming out to cut a promo of Dirty Dom's going to be the new NXT North American Champion. It is, I'm recording this at 9:40. I don't know if it's happened yet. I doubt it has, but I doubt it will. But we then get them all cutting a promo. Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens come out and decide to put their titles up against Damian Priest and Dirty Dom. We then get Raquel Rodriguez cutting a promo and Liv Morgan cutting a promo why they retain their titles. You have Rhea Ripley then attack them and actually cause Raquel to get hurt. Fake injury, just want to point that out. Not the real injury I was talking about. Despite this, they would continue with the match against Chelsea Green and Sonya Deville to defend their titles. And Chelsea Green and Sonya Deville are your new women's tag team champions. That's awesome, man. I'm not a huge fan of Chelsea Green. She's done very well since coming back to WWE. And Samantha Irving's announcement of her name is always hilarious. But Sonya Deville deserves this, man. Sonya Deville deserved to be a champion. Apparently there was talk at WrestleMania 35 she would go win the SmackDown title from Charlotte or Asuka. And it wasn't going to be a triple threat match. So I would have really loved to see her win that title, but to see her win this is awesome. Bravo. We think it's Seth Rollins doing a backstage interview for his World Heavyweight title. Finn Balor would interrupt and tell him to make the rematch official for SummerSlam. Finn Balor and Seth Rollins then get into a brawl, and it's made official. Seth Rollins versus Finn Balor at SummerSlam. Oh, this is going to be fun. This card, there's only 2 matches announced at that time, but after that, I was just I'm ready for SummerSlam. This is going to be a fun show. Just these 2 matches, Brock Lesnar versus Cody Rhodes in a stipulation match that has yet to be decided, and also Jey Uso and Roman Reigns, and then Seth Rollins versus Finn Balor. Holy shit, this is going to be good. You think it's Shayna Baszler really squashing Nikki Cross, and it's weird to watch this because you start to think of Nikki Cross as she was pitched to break the Asuka streak for a little while in NXT. And to see that to where she is now of just getting squashed, don't get me wrong. I think if Nikki Cross had come into NXT a year before Asuka or right at the end of Shayna Baszler's run, she would have been a megastar in NXT. But because of the time she came in, she kind of got pushed to the backside a little, you know? Kind of got pushed to the back and was kind of forgotten about. She would have been NXT Women's Champion had she come in at any other time, in my opinion. Any other time. Shayna Baszler would squash Nikki Cross, and after that, Ronda Rousey said she would handle anything that Shayna had to throw at her. Ronda then said she would do Shayna a favor and challenge Baszler to a match. And she said, I'll see you in the Motor City, bitch. Another match made official for SummerSlam. So far, it's 3 matches official. A couple matches you can guess. But damn, Dan. What a card that's so far built up. We then get Becky Lynch appearing on Miz TV, basically called Miz a bitch and said to bring out Trish Stratus because she knows he's coming. She knows she's coming out. Becky said she wants a fight. Trish said she will agree if she can beat Zoe Starks. But if she loses to Zoe or Trish, Becky will have to get on her knees and say thank you, Trish, and get the same thing tattooed on her chest. That's actually pretty funny. Pretty funny. We then get Ricochet challenging Logan Paul to appear on Raw next week. Logan Paul took to social media and accepted. Alrighty. This is going to be... Again, this card is shaping up. Ricochet versus Logan Paul, man. That's going to be a good one. We then get Bronson Reed versus Shinsuke Nakamura, which ended in DQ, unfortunately, after Ciampa would attack Bronson Reed due to his attack on Ciampa last week. Good match. I wish it didn't end in DQ. And I'm also very happy that they're just going with Bronson Reed, because for a second in his graphics, it's a Big Bronson Reed. Please, God, don't call him Big Bronson Reed. Just let him be go by Bronson Reed. We then get Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens versus Judgment Day. Very good match. Finn Balor will actually be attacked by Seth Rollins, and then you would have Rhea Ripley interfere in the match as she pushed Owens into the ring steps, which resulted in Liv Morgan coming out and attacking Rhea Ripley. Now, this was the injury I was talking about. I haven't read up on it too much, but apparently Liv Morgan was injured during this segment. Ah, god damn it. Injury bugs going around rampant. You have Pretty Deadly, Bayley, Liv Morgan. Who's next? After this, Dom was distracted enough to where Sami Zayn hit the Helluva Kick. Kevin Owens hit the Stunner. 1, 2, 3. Sami Zayn and KO retain over the Judgment Day. Great match. Enjoyed this Raw. Very fun Raw. Can't think of a bad segment on this Raw. So you know what? Awesome job. Even Corey Graves sounded better than he did last week. So I'm very happy with that. It looks like Corey Graves was just having an off week. But with that all being said, let's move on to SummerSlam 2016. This was the really first pay-per-view of the brand split era. The second brand split of SmackDown Raw. So you had all the SmackDown matches and the Raw matches. It kicked off with the Usos, American Alpha, the Hype Bros versus Breezango, the Ascension, and the Vaudevillains. Remember when they were on SmackDown? Because there were no SmackDown tag team titles, I think, at this time. They hadn't been won by... Had they been won? I don't believe so. No, they haven't been won yet by Slater and Rhino. The Usos and their team would defeat Breezango in a 15-minute match. God damn, that's a long match. These pre-show matches were long. I just want to point that out right now. We then get Sami Zayn and Neville versus the Dudley Boys. Very good match. Sami Zayn and Neville is a weird team to say the least, but still a fun one. Them picking up the win against the Dudley Boys is a very cool idea. We then get Sheamus and Cesaro in a... This was the first of the Best of 7 series that has gone acclaimed by a lot and actually led to the formation of their tag team, The Bar, and really helped shoot Cesaro into the main roster spot that a lot of people believed he should be in. Sheamus would pick up the win, and that would really help lead to the formation, again, the formation of The Bar. So, very fun one. Very nice. Let's kick off the main show with Chris Jericho and Kevin Owens faced off against Enzo and Big Cass. I miss that tag team. I know a lot of people hated it. I loved Enzo and Cass, man. I missed that tag team. That was a fun one. And when people ask Enzo why he hasn't shown up in AEW, I think he has the best answer of Superman doesn't need Robin. And I can't agree more. I wish he could be in AEW. I wish he would show up. But Cass doesn't really need him right now, man. He's being a great single star. I hope Enzo goes somewhere like GCW or something and really shows out. Because the guy can wrestle. He's proven that in MLW. He's having good matches. So I really do hope that Enzo does find somewhere for wrestling. But Cass is doing great in AEW, which is funny. He's really helped feuding against Chris Jericho, which I like. So thought that was cool. Chris Jericho and Kevin Owens would pick up the win over Cass and Enzo in their debut match. I really hated that, and in their really big SummerSlam match, I really hated that and thought that Enzo and Cass should have picked up the win here. They would pick up the win over AJ Styles in the club with John Cena. So I really felt like this should have been an Enzo and Cass win. We then move on to Charlotte versus Sasha Banks, where Dana Brooke was banned from ringside. Remember when Dana Brooke was a big part of Charlotte Flair's storyline? And was pitched to be the next Charlotte Flair and pitched to be this next big star. Yeah, me neither. Charlotte would end up picking up the win over Sasha, as this was in the middle of Sasha's curse where she couldn't defend the title. Basically, she would win the title and then next time she would defend it, would lose it. They started to call her One Defense Sasha for a little while, because after One Defense, she did not have a title anymore. We then move on to The Miz versus Apollo Crews for your Intercontinental Championship match. This is probably the downer match of this show. I thought it was an okay match. The Miz would be Apollo Crews, and nothing really very home about it. Apollo Crews had yet to find his real in-ring style. He wouldn't really find it until the pandemic era, where he would feud with the Hurt Business, in my opinion. So, okay match. Again, probably the worst on this card. We then get AJ Styles versus John Cena in a singles match. Awesome match. This was a classic and has been renowned as a classic by many. You know what I love about this match, and it's one thing that not many people notice, is the way AJ Styles would just sell a back bump. Would always come up with his shoulders his shoulders would basically be on the mat, but his back would be up, and he'd be like, ah! I loved that sell. If you're ever looking to see a great sell, go with that one. We then get Gallows and Anderson versus the New Day for the tag team titles. Gallows and Anderson would pick up the win by disqualification. Yeah, it was okay. It was okay at best. Again, probably the second worst match on this card. We then get Dean Ambrose versus Dolph Ziggler in a WWE Championship match. Fun match, and Dolph Ziggler would get a chance at this by winning a number one contenders battle royal. I really wish they had the balls, the unmitigated fucking balls, to take the title off of Ambrose and put it on to Ziggler. So Ziggler could have been the one to lose it to AJ Styles and then have a great feud with Styles and Ambrose. I always felt that if they really did want and pushed him into the main event, Ziggler would have been an undoubted Hall of Famer and would have been called one of the greatest of all time. I truly believe that in my heart of hearts. The guy was awesome. Just want to say that. Dean Ambrose would pick up the win, by the way. We think it's 6-woman tag, and you know how I feel about that. We get Nikki Bella, Natalya, and a face Alexa Bliss versus Becky Lynch, Naomi, and Carmella. Weird teams, right? Nikki Bella was in a feud with Carmella. Natalya was kind of in a feud with Becky Lynch. And Naomi was kind of in a feud with Alexa Bliss. It was all very weird. Very weird. Nikki Bella's team would end up picking up the win in a good match. Good 6 tag, but I hate 6-man tag. Just want to say that. By the way, Nikki was a surprise return for a replacement Eva Marie, who was suspended just days before SummerSlam for testing positive for drugs. We then get a match that has been maligned and loved for two reasons. And I'll go into them on this match. A singles match for the inaugural Universal Championship match, which could only be won by pinfall or submission. Finn Balor versus Seth Rollins for the Universal Championship. This was a great match. It sucks because Finn Balor would actually tear his rotator cuff in this match and would be out of action until basically after WrestleMania 33. We wouldn't see him for so long. And Finn Balor would pick up the win. He would hit the stomp on Seth Rollins after being buckle bombed basically to the barricade. I've heard that Finn Balor has said he took the bump wrong. I've heard Seth Rollins say the other thing, that he gave it to him wrong. I've heard different stories. It was a great match. The work and ethic these guys had to continue the match, even with an injury to a rotator cuff, is amazing. But the injury should have never happened. Whoever truly is injured from this match, whoever truly did the wrong thing, needed to be punished. Truly, and I believe Seth Rollins kind of was, because he was taken out of the main event picture for so long. And I'm sure Finn Balor, if he truly felt he was punished, he felt that he was punished from the injury. He felt that I've lost almost a year of my career, so both guys paid for their injury. We then move on to the main event. The bloody mess in Brooklyn, man. Brock Lesnar versus Randy Orton. A feud that started in OVW. They were part of the OVW class of Randy Orton, Brock Lesnar, Batista, John Cena, and even others. Basically, everyone from this class was a Hall of Famer. Everyone would work with The Undertaker. Everyone would actually, that I've just mentioned, would actually have a match at WrestleMania with The Undertaker. Just want to point that out right now. These guys were awesome performers. And apparently they were good friends behind the scene. They just drifted apart as Randy Orton really liked the party lifestyle. And Brock Lesnar was the guy who was just work, and not hang out with people. So they would use that in the storyline, and Randy Orton and Brock Lesnar would have a brawl. Paul Heyman discussed this and said that it would have been cool for Randy Orton to win this match with just a single RKO. If you're looking for a funny clip, go watch that clip where he destroys a heckler in the crowd, where a heckler says, when was the last time Brock Lesnar lost to one finishing move? And you have Paul Heyman say, when was the last time The Undertaker lost at WrestleMania? And gee, wasn't it a shock when that happened? I thought that was the greatest line of all fucking time. So shout out to Paul Heyman for that one. Brock Lesnar would pick up the win with a stiff elbows delivery to Randy Orton's head, cutting him open the old-fashioned way. Randy Orton would bleed so profusely that they had to stop the match. Two things about this match. One, you would actually have Brock Lesnar's stiff elbows be included in every WWE 2K game since. And every time you fight Brock Lesnar, or use Brock Lesnar, if he uses those elbows, yeah, that's a move that is going to hurt and will probably bust you open in that game. So I like to include Brock Lesnar's brutality in that from basically after that. And then you would also have Chris Jericho backstage, who didn't know it was a work. He didn't know that that's how the match was supposed to end. So he would actually try to fight Brock Lesnar, and it would take Randy Orton and Vince McMahon coming in saying, that was the plan. Hey, he's fine. It's just a cut. He's going to be fine. Nothing's wrong. He didn't go off script, because that's what everybody believed in the Barclays Center. Everyone believed that Brock Lesnar really did bust Randy Orton open, and he was doing it to say, if I want to win, I'm going to win. if you're looking for a great SummerSlam to watch, this truly is a good one. First one of the brand split era, and definitely some fun matches to go look back on. Not many bad matches. If I had to grade this pay-per-view, I give it a B-, B. Not the B+ due to the 6-woman tag team match, the tag team match, and the Miz match. The rest of them are very good. The pre-show is hard to grade because it's a pre-show and just not many people really watch the pre-show, but still a fun pay-per-view to go watch when you're getting ready for the SummerSlam moot. Woo! I could use a drink. How about a blue coconut margarita? That sounds delicious. For SmackDown, for SummerSlam, coconut says summer, blue says SmackDown and SummerSlam. So here's your ingredients. You're going to need 1 ounce tequila, 1 ounce of blue curacao, half an ounce of lime juice, and 1 ounce of cream of coconut, some coconut, some lime, and a margarita glass. You're going to rim the edge of the glass with coconut shavings that set aside. Fill a blender with ice, combine with the tequila, the blue curacao, the lime juice, and the cream of coconut. Blend until smooth. Pour into the rim glass, and add a lemon wedge. Please drink responsibly. Do not drink and drive, and do not consume alcohol if you're under the age of 21, and do not overconsume on alcohol. Back to our lumberjack match and a reading from the Book of Rules. 2 superstars compete in several superstars surround a ring. If a superstar is thrown from the ring, the surrounding superstars throw them back into the ring. The match can only be decided by pinfall or submission. A reading from the Book of Rules. And now, everybody, it is time for the Battle Droid of the Week. The Battle Droid of the Week is simple. I mentioned it earlier. It is Ridge Holland. This guy is really starting to get the Nia Jax level treatment here in WWE. And I really hope he doesn't, man. I really hope that this guy ends up being a good superstar, but he just keeps hurting person after person after person. What the fuck? When you gotta take some action, WWE, and say, hey, either go back to NXT or leave, dude. They did it to Nia Jax. It took them way too long after she injures so many people. So you know what? I would call this, it's time. Rich Holland, here's your award.
Uh-oh.
Thank you very much for listening, ladies and gentlemen. I have been the big guy. This has been Wrestling Made Simple. I hope you enjoyed. Next week, we'll keep our SummerSlam tradition going. And again, thank you very much for listening. Enjoy this week of wrestling, and have a great week.